And we're back, and we just finished watching The Willoughbys. That's streaming right now on Netflix. It's based on a book by Lois Lowry. Lois Lowry. Sorry.
Apologies if we've butchered your name.
It tells the story of 4 siblings who have probably the worst parents in existence.
What about Lisa?
Well, she was bad, but at least she paid attention to her kid. These people were obviously very, very bad.
Yes.
Yeah, they
got theirs at the end.
I don't know why they had kids. As soon as the first one was born, the father took it out, dumped it in the hallway, and said, "Fend for yourself."
And then proceeded to have 3 more.
Proceeded to have 3 more kids.
Go figure.
Couldn't even bother naming the last 2, giving them different names. So
Yeah.
they were both called Barnaby.
Barnaby A and Barnaby B.
No, they weren't. The
nanny gave them the A and B.
Oh, really?
Wait, no, it was Barnaby and Barnaby, but then the nanny switched their names to Barnaby A and Barnaby B.
Yeah,
yes,
so they could have
I wasn't paying attention.
So they could have identities.
Yeah, instead of just being...
So, Olive, this was your pick. Why did you pick this movie?
Because I was interested.
Okay, you saw the trailer?
Yeah.
What about
it interested you?
I wanted to see how terrible the parents were.
And what'd you think?
Did they live up to expectations?
Yes.
They were pretty horrible.
They were pretty horrible. What else did you think about the movie?
It was good.
It was good, actually. I think it was a good choice. I enjoyed it. What about you?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, not my favorite kids movie, but
it was still decent fare. And
it was decent, yeah.
Colorful and bright and
colorful, bright. The
decent
animation,
storytelling. The animation I thought was really good.
The animation was good. It started. I don't know, maybe if I got used to it or whatever, but in the beginning, it sort of almost. It felt like they were trying to go for almost a stop motion animation feel.
That's why I asked you. I was like, "Is that 2D or no?" I asked you if it was 3D because it was almost like it was trying to parrot sort of like Leica.
Yeah, like because stop motion animation, they have Leica is actually their stuff is pretty smooth.
No, of course, yeah.
But like old stop motion animation had a bit of the
like
little
that. Yeah.
Like that Rudolph the
Russ Bankin Rudolph stuff. And,
God.
And
listen,
like that.
And that thing
classic.
from Gumball named Corp.
But that's like an aesthetic, you know.
Yes.
It's grown to a point where 3D animators will actually mimic that. I guess back then it was a shortcoming, but now it's almost like a stylistic flourish.
Right.
And I felt like in the beginning
it was more obvious,
but then towards the latter parts of the film,
it was more seamless.
I don't know if I got used to it.
Or maybe it was your eye just got used to it.
Or they just gave up on that and everybody was just moving fluidly and whatnot.
It could be one or the other. I think at some point your eye gets used to something.
Yeah, you know what? I think they must have just gave up because I remember there was a part where the kid's hair, Tim, the oldest, his hair actually moved in a way that you don't usually see in stop motion. It was very smooth, like it was jangling almost.
Okay. I mean, I feel like they did a good job with it. Lots of attention to detail. The world that they built, it was colorful. It was bright.
The color was bright. It was very ridiculous.
It was very ridiculous. Very over the top.
Very, very over the top. Not a drip of realism in any of this.
Although there were some key elements that I think there were some key elements to the story that you could tie to the everyday. The fight with the siblings, the wanting to have a home, the need for parents, wanting to belong to a family. And I think they say, I don't know if it was a line in the song, like, your family is, or your home isn't, what was it? Now I'm blanking
The house that you live in is not your home, or not necessarily your home.
Home, right. It was to that.
Along the lines of that.
It was along the lines of that. And it's basically, they lost their house. And that was devastating, but it was just a structure. And even at the end, Tim says, as long as we have each other, that's more than enough.
Yeah.
So
Alright, but
in
don't
that
give any
sense,
spoilers. You already said that their house was lost, so.
well, it's fine. I'll put a thing saying, and I wasn't really thinking about not spoiling this movie.
It's not the type of film where if you know what's going to happen, it's going to ruin it for you, because it's very simple, and I got to be honest, there aren't any real surprises in this movie.
No, I mean it's
It's-
pretty much predictable.
There's nothing where you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe.
Yeah, I mean I think we all knew where
We knew
this
where,
story
we
was
knew
going to
where it
end.
was going from
the
pretty
beginning.
much from the start. And I kind of feel like the reason why I think it's just okay was because it was a fine story, but it did lack that sort of element to it where it like either grabs you by the heartstrings or it surprises you or something like that. For me, I felt like some of the things were just, it was fine for a kid's movie, but a lot of stuff was very shallow. None of the characters had very amazing character arcs or anything like that. I mean, the main character seemed to be Tim,
Right.
the oldest child. He got the most
Well,
lines.
he sort of
got the
had,
most...
and he also has the hero's journey. He comes to a realization, something about him has to change, right? I think if you're talking about like personal growth here, I think the Tim character fulfills that. I think the Jane character was already fully realized, and she's sort of like the linchpin that forces Tim to come to this realization. Because even though she's his sister, she's his younger sister, she's a sibling, there's always going to be that animosity between siblings. Get into that big fight. She's like, you forced me to give up Ruth. You made me believe that the nanny was bad, blah, blah, blah. I think that she kind of helps him self-actualize. I don't know if that's what I'm looking for, but she helps him on his journey to grow.
I agree with that. But
and I think also the nanny.
The nanny
is also
the
an
nanny and his
important
older
part of the
sister
story.
helped him progress as a character, but even still, it's don't go into this expecting any sort of deep sweeping changes.
No. I mean, this is not.
And there were certain things about it that I didn't quite get as far as their importance. Like in the beginning, he seemed to be like really looking at the past of his family as like this great legacy, and that never really panned out.
Right.
I mean, unless you count growing mustaches.
Yeah, even the woman grew mustaches, the babies, the children.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth wasn't really their sibling, so
It was
yeah, it was cute.
It was
I mean,
cute.
it
It
wasn't
was
Kubo. It wasn't Inside Out.
It wasn't Kubo. It wasn't Inside Out.
But
this isn't like next level kids movies that an adult will really get something
Raising
out of.
Arizona.
Well, Raising Arizona aren't really kids
So
movie.
good.
But yeah, as far as just kids fare, you won't feel insulted by watching this.
No, it's better than Peter Rabbit, I'm sure.
Oh God, yes.
I didn't see it, so I have to constantly ask you.
Oh God, Peter.
Although I did see the BFG with you guys,
Oh.
and I would say I would rather watch this again than watch the BFG.
I would rather watch this than the BFG.
Yeah.
BFG was just like,
And I really wanted to like it because it was a Spielberg movie,
it
but
was
that
like an
was
hour-long payoff to a fart joke.
Yeah, that was not a good
the
movie.
BFG.
So I mean, I feel like this is like even little kids can watch this. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing objectionable about it. I mean,
Some of the situations are a little over the top. I agree
some
with
of
you.
it are a little over top, and like there is that sort of element of darkness where the kids, they don't like their parents, so basically they're like, let's make ourselves orphans.
Right.
And so they put their parents on like a wild trip in the hopes that their parents, recklessly kill themselves or something like that. But of course, their parents
Cause massacres.
basically recklessly destroy everything in their path but themselves.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Parents Guide because, of course, the psycho-lunacy of the Parents Guide is always pretty hilarious to me.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to discuss, so let's hear.
Let's deep dive here.
Let's hear what the parents' guide.
So, according to IMDb's Parents Guide for the Willoughbys, there are 4 instances of sex and nudity. Number 1, one character refers to another character as, quote, sugar daddy, end quote, as the character worked in a candy factory. What the hell? How is that sex or nudity?
I don't know. I don't see how like a little kid's gonna be like, oh, I know what that means, Mom and Dad.
Number 2, the couple is constantly kissing on the mouth throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, they are, but it's not like
it's not
passionate
sex
kissing.
Or nudity.
And they're not groping each other.
It's like the silliest looking puckered lip smooches. Like.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of kissing.
Number 3, the husband jumps and wraps his legs around his wife's waist, rubbing against her body and purrs like a kitten. Then the door shuts on multiple occasions during various scenes.
I wonder what happened then.
We can only wonder. Number 4, the eldest child, Tim, hurts his private area by trying to slide down the banister on 2 occasions, saying, ouch, when his crotch touches the banister, but proceeds to slide down anyway as his crotch rubs against the banister.
Because that's so sexual and
some people have a strange idea of what sex is.
And nudity.
If getting punched in the groin or damaging your private areas.
Profanity. 2 uses of the word screwed.
Screwed?
Yeah.
That's profanity.
Yeah. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking. 1, the parents drink wine throughout the movie.
It's not the
I feel like
alcoholics.
most American children see their parents drinking wine these days.
Except for you guys.
Yeah. We're not drinkers.
We're not really drinkers. I prefer fuzzy cola.
Yes.
I like grape juice.
Grape juice
I like
is
grape
delicious.
juice too.
Okay, are there any other insane crap?
3 instances of frightening and intense scenes. Number 1, the baby that is found at the front door gets away from the daughter and almost gets sliced by an axe that is hanging on the wall.
I don't remember that.
Number 2, the parents kick the 4 children out of their home along with an orphan baby, and Tim becomes very distraught and upset that they will not be the perfect family that he had envisioned. They are left to wander the streets, almost getting hit by multiple cars in a pileup, and find a home for the orphan child. They then sneak back into their home without their parents knowing.
That's so frightening and intense.
Number 3. There's only 3 scenes here. The baby is accidentally thrown into the fireplace in a blazing fire, and it appears as though the baby is incinerated. But then it is revealed that it is only a bowl of yarn that was burned.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
I remember that scene too.
I was like, oh my god, they really went for it there. And then it was just a bowl of yarn.
Yes. So I feel like.
And she was about to blow up like a piece of dynamite.
Yes. So I feel like this movie, it's exaggerated, right? So
it's completely over the top ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't think that this would be traumatic for a child to watch. But again, I guess parents err on the side of caution. If your child is easily scared, maybe you don't want to introduce them to this. I want to say 6 and up is a good age range for this movie.
Yeah.
There really isn't any cursing. There isn't really any profanity. There isn't
sex and
nudity.
And the violence is very muted.
Very muted. It's
comical.
Yeah, like at the end with the parents and that big shark.
Okay. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. Nothing is shown. When generally violence is people getting launched into the air.
Right.
Which is for comical purposes.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
They get launched into the air, or they'll slap against the wall or something like that.
Or they'll get thrown into something.
Yeah.
Possibly. So, I mean, I feel like not a bad movie. Decent fare. I mean, if it's 90 minutes long, so if you've got an hour and a half or you need a break for an hour and a half, and you want to put the kids in front of the TV for some mindless entertainment, this might be a good choice for it.
Solution, yeah.
Gee, we didn't get your thoughts.
Yeah,
What did you think of this movie?
It was mediocre.
Yeah. Were you impressed by anything? Did anything jump out at you? Was there any element or part of the story that you really liked?
No.
No. Okay.
What did you feel it was lacking? Like what made it just mediocre? What do you think could have made it better?
More music?
Ha ha ha, very funny. In fact, that's
You
the
know,
reason
actually,
that it's
the
so
song
bad.
it didn't really bother me. It was
He
just,
sang it too much, got old like by the second time.
I thought it was still okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
She had a decent voice, whoever the girl. I mean, I guess it's the same voice actress that did the Jane, but she had a decent voice, I thought.
She had a nice voice, but it was sung. I hated the song.
All right, you can hate it. So, what do you think would have made the story better?
No more singing.
What else would have made the story better?
Hated the older brother.
Okay.
He was annoying because basically every decision he made was the absolute wrong
Worst.
decision
Yeah.
to make.
What about the narrator, which turns out to be the cat?
Well, we knew it was the cat from the
Well, I know we knew that it was the cat, but what did you think about the narration? Was it good? Did it not need it? Maybe that was something that they could have done without.
Yeah, I don't care for narration. I don't see the point. Like you could infer that from from what's actually going on.
Right? Sure.
Yeah, he kind of wasn't necessary.
Sorry. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
He
again,
sort of
a kids
reminded
movie.
me when I was watching it. I sort of thought of that Lemony Snicket series that they did, like the Patrick Warburton character. Like he was the narrator, but he wasn't really needed.
Yeah, all I remember from that cat was how he wanted to sit in the box that the baby was in, and how it was an old-timey story, and he couldn't let it end like that. That's all I remember about him.
Yeah.
And how did the cat become part of their group? Like in the beginning, the cat was just sort of a distant observer, and then all of a sudden he's just with them.
I think maybe well, I get the impression it was a stray cat that just
Yeah.
hung around that area, and because they were there and he was there, they sort of just
They just picked him up.
They
and
just
were
picked
like,
him up
all right,
kind of
you're
thing,
with us
yeah.
now, because
Yeah.
suddenly he's like going on the adventure with
them. Yeah.
Yeah. And, oh well.
What do you think would have made the story better?
Probably some sharper jokes in the writing. Just a little of that. I also, like I said, I generally
Sharper. How do you mean sharper? Smarter or
just some more interesting jokes. I mean, there really wasn't, as far as like the dialogue between the characters going back and forth.
right? It wasn't spectacular.
It wasn't spectacular dialogue. Nobody was saying anything that was like, oh, that's interesting, or I could see somebody really learning a life lesson from this, or anything like that. It was just sort of, okay, this is how it is. Oh, you're here, new character. Okay, we love you. I don't like you. Well, wait a minute, I do like you. What? No, I don't like you again. And it was just, nothing felt really earned.
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're
Nobody
saying.
was really trying that hard. It was just sort of like, okay, let's go. We got to go to point B. We're here at point B. Okay, let's go to point C. We're here at point C.
No, we're moving on to the
Now
next
we're
thing.
moving on D, and then end of the movie. And
Yeah, I that makes sense. I mean,
and
I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the purpose of this movie is to appeal to an even younger audience.
yeah.
So I
it's
think that they
it's
have
definitely-
to err on the side of caution. They can't have those kind of sharp jokes in something like this. I think this is specific to a certain demographic.
Well, you know what? I think maybe why it hit me that way was because the basic premise was these kids wanted to make themselves orphans, which is a dark premise.
Which is a dark premise.
Which usually lends itself to some sort of sharper writing.
Right.
Like more biting humor.
Right.
And it did it. it was still a kids movie.
Right.
And so that's the fact that it had that plot point, but it didn't want to go to that
place,
to that level of humor, or use that level of humor. a darker humor. It sort of felt mismatched.
I get what you're saying, and that totally makes sense.
That kind of like it sort
takes
of
away from the overall.
It prevented me from getting really pulled into the story, because I was just like, oh, okay, it's okay. They're not going to really do anything too interesting. It's not boring.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do anything that really catches my attention and makes me
I
think,
think
wow, that Willoughby's movie, I could go see that again.
And again, I think it's only an hour and a half, so a lot has to happen, and a lot of story has to get tied up. I mean, I thought the pacing was decent. I am going to out myself here, and I did kind of fall asleep towards the beginning of the film, but that's only because I'm extremely tired and I've been up since an ungodly hour, so I snoozed a little.
It's only 9.
I know, but I've been awake since like 6 this morning, so yeah, and I didn't take a nap during the day, so I kind of fell asleep, but I did get up and get myself a cola and a piece of chocolate, and that kind of, the sugar kind of woke me up there.
That chocolate was good.
That chocolate was good.
I didn't want chocolate.
You're crazy.
Weird.
But yeah, I mean, it was decent kids movie fare.
Decent kids movie. They weren't going to be taking any risks with this. But
yeah.
Like I said, it felt like they were approaching that in the beginning, but they didn't quite do that. But it's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, I would give this a 6. Just a 6. It was a little, like, a bit of a...
Should we rate it?
I too would give it a 6. I think it was okay. I think the voice actors were all good. I think they did the best that they could with a limited script. I agree with you. The writing could have been a little bit better. And I agree with you that the fact that they wanted to become orphans definitely lends itself to more sharper, darker writing, and they decided not to go that route. Not to go off on a tangent, and we should probably review this movie, but Matilda is an excellent piece of cinema. It's a great book, and Danny DeVito knocked it out of the park with that movie, both as the director and as the actor. Yeah. And there's a movie that has voiceover, but it's done in such a great way that it adds to the story. It doesn't take away from the story. Here, the cat, it wasn't really needed. I agree.
I would have understood what was going on without the cat.
Yeah, it would have been nicer.
Even the cat's, like what the cat did to help move story points along, really
was minimal.
Minimal, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been handled different ways. Yeah, I mean, I wish they had taken him out, the cat. I don't know. Maybe it was one of those things where they felt like they needed this in order to move the story along, but I don't think that they did.
Maybe it was part of the book.
Maybe. And if they had maybe focused more on building these characters and better writing for them, that would have been the way to go. But yeah, I mean, you look at a movie like Matilda, which, I mean, that thing came out late 80s, early 90s, I think, right? I can't even remember.
Something like that, yeah.
And
still good to this day.
Still good.
Excellent.
I mean, it was on the other day, and I sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think sometimes people don't want to take that risk because they don't want to alienate people. But I think in this particular instance, a little sharper and a little darker would have gone a long way to how this story.
If they had leaned into that, I think it would have helped.
Yeah. I mean, visually, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Good special effects, good animation. Once I got caffeine inside of me, it helped my interest. Yeah, I agree. It's a 6.
What do you think, Olive?
What do you give this movie?
I would give it a 7.
You'd give it a 7?
Okay.
Okay.
What about you,
You can give
G?
it higher if you like.
It was good. It's
Out
just
of
that
10.
song was actually annoying. Very.
Really?
Really?
I
It
wasn't
was-
annoyed by that song.
It
I'm
played
must have been
it
the only
too
one.
much. And then I just got annoyed
That's
by
exactly
it.
what Grace G said.
Like, maybe like 2 times is good enough, but third, okay. Let's
Okay.
slow it down.
What about you, G?
What about you, G? 1 to 10.
5.26.
Sigh.
5.26.
Slightly better than average.
Okay.
The slightest.
Sigh.
Yeah, I
Still
mean
mediocre.
that's where it probably needs to be.
Mhm.
It wasn't bad. It
So
wasn't great.
we're going to wrap this up.
So we're going to wrap this up because it's getting late and you kids should probably go to bed. So that's it from us, and we'll come back soon with another review. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Mm-hmm.